Reporting here tonight from the Jersey City City Hall, where the whole council just voted on the 2019 municipal budget, but two council members voted no. Councilman member James Solomon and Council President Rolando Lavarro, and we interviewed both of them on camera to ask them why they voted no.
It was primarily a statement that says this budget doesn't address the long-term school funding challenge. Now, we understand the school district ended up not requesting funds, which to me was a decision I strongly disagree with, but it's their decision. But I can't in good conscience go to the voters and the people who elected me to make sure our city budget addressed the fundamental problems in Jersey City. And schools are number one. Like, a good city is based on strength of its schools, so I just didn't feel like I could vote for a budget that didn't address it.
But last year's budget didn't necessarily allocate money to fill up a funding gap in the BOE. So why this year?
I voted against last year's budget too. So I'm consistent. I voted against the last year's budget for the same reason. You can go back to my statement a year ago, which, we didn't have as much attention at the time, but I said this isn't addressing school funding, this isn't addressing climate resiliency, it's not addressing transportation and city planning, these really crucial long-term focuses. This budget I actually think is much better than last year's. It does make some investments in things like city planning, our city landlord-tenant office, but it still doesn't address that fundamental issue for me.
And that's specific school funding.
Yeah, exactly. I think the health of a long-term city is based on its schools.
So, Councilman, what was your reaction given, you've been to the BOE meetings and you've explained to the board that the city council would be willing to work with the BOE to provide the funding, and yet Superintendent Walker then writes this letter to the city council saying, thanks, but no thanks. So what was your immediate reaction?
So, two reactions. First is disappointment. I think we stand ready and stood ready in this budget cycle to work with the schools. We invited the superintendent and the board president to a budget hearing specifically to work out whatever concerns they might have and then be able to fund them. And then obviously they didn't attend the hearing. But I think the second reaction is just resolve, right? You know what? We got to solve problems. So we didn't get it done for this budget. Now we start again. And a commitment that I've made is to start much earlier. So I'm not going to start in May, which is this year. We started this process. We're going to start January 1, sitting down with the schools, understanding their concerns, and making sure our budget process aligns with theirs. So, it didn't work this year. I'm disappointed in that, but I'm resolved to make sure it works in 2020.
The money doesn't include funding for the schools, and granted, the schools is not asking for the funding. I think we need to do more to address the adequacy issues, but also just to continue finding ways to fund our schools. We've heard here and repeatedly from meeting after meeting about parents and teachers and advocates coming forward and asking for more funding, and while the school leadership at the Board of Education has not been receptive to that. I don't think that we should allow that to kind of deter us, and we should possibly look to set aside funding because, as I suggested there's I think there's a good likelihood that we'll end up with impacts here that will be detrimental and harmful to our children here in Jersey City ultimately. And if I'm proven wrong, then I'm proven wrong. And but I'm happy to kind of put my neck out for that and say that I'm happy to say that I put my neck out and was willing to do what I had to do for the children of Jersey City and the students of Jersey City and their families.
Council President Lavarro, can you just speculate as to why you received that letter from the superintendent of schools that they don't need the money after they had said back in May that they do need city help?
So I couldn't speculate, to be honest with you. I couldn't. I don't know the machinations that go on there, and I'm not familiar with what's going on. But in the world of politics as it stands, that nothing surprises me there, and I couldn't fathom a guess on that. And like I said in my timeline, as I read out there, as late as like 3 days before I got that letter, that I was literally informed that there was a shortfall and that there was a need, and then told subsequently after that there wasn't. I'm not making any suggestions there, just literally reporting facts. And so I think anyone who's listening to this would understand that those ideas are in contradiction. And then as recently as July 22nd, a resolution by that same school board that suggested that that they were authorizing the schools to apply for emergency aid. And if they should choose not to apply for emergency aid, then that'll be so as well. But a lot of these things on the face of it are all contradictory to the idea that we don't need money.
Mark Busant reporting from the Jersey City City Council for Hudson County View, the eye of the community.